Home Pros Radio Show.
Welcome to the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections and co-hosts of the Home Pros Radio Show. When it comes to building or remodeling your home, many would agree that the most challenging and critical part of the process happens at the beginning when you're choosing the right contractor for the job. Well, typically we rely on the recommendations of friends or family when making this decision, but what do we do if that's not sufficient or even an option? I leaned on my own co-host Shane Hips with Closing Contractor to help uncover the answer and discovered there are a number of things that you can do to help guide you in the right direction the next time you need the right home improvement or repair professional for your project. Our conversation begins as we reflect on a collection of RIC Home Inspections photos from the field.
We've got 4 RIC Home Inspections photos from the field.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Did you see that? Yeah, did you see that? Believe it or not, all 4 of those photos are from the same house. It looks like it's a collection of different things that we've experienced from different locations, but that actually was the same house. That was a fun house to do.
That was a do-it-yourselfer right there.
Yeah, exactly, it was. So, all in line with those photos. You have home repairs that you've hired someone to do, and they look like that. I've seen it where I've started a home inspection, and I see a whole collection of receipts and all this other paperwork from one of the local big companies that you see advertised a lot. And I was thinking, oh, great, this is awesome. This homeowner's been on top of things. Look, they put a new pressure regulator on the house, and they did this, and they did this. And then I go under the house, and I look at the water main, and I see a pressure regulator and a shut-off, and then a pressure regulator and a shut-off. And I'm like, somebody talked this poor lady into installing something they already had, and how many times, Shane, have you been under a home or in an attic and you've seen something like that and you're like, come on.
Oh yeah. It's pretty common to see repairs like that.
Yeah.
You always see, a lot of times you wonder if it is the homeowner that did it a lot of times you do find out that it was a contractor that, sold them something that they didn't necessarily need, or maybe things were just put in a little bit different than normal.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we want to share with you today is how to avoid those types of situations, things that you can possibly do to make sure that you're, as a homeowner, making good decisions when it comes time to choosing a contractor. And Shane Hips here with Closing Contractor is the guy to talk about in regard to that. We've got some interesting photos that we posted. First one, it's always nice seeing a bottle jack holding up the middle of your family room floor, right?
Yeah, makes me feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Stacked brick, always good.
Yep.
On what do you? Oh, you know what? I always like to do a little question. What do you notice about this? We've got the bottle jack, and something interesting about that concrete block. Y'all take a look at that concrete block that's holding that bottle jack up. What do you notice about it? And tell me what you think. I'm going to leave that up to you, the listeners, to tell us what's up with that. Also, that picture, that photo in the lower left-hand corner. Do you know what that is? Can you tell what that is? It was a scream when I actually was there at the inspection.
I can't really tell what it is.
It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but that's why in the message or the Facebook post, I was like, who's installing your oven or your stove or whatever it was, your appliances? They actually, whoever did that, and it might have been the homeowner, the cabinetry was built for a drop-in, but that's a standalone oven.
Oh, yeah. So I just couldn't make out the picture exactly. I see what you're talking about. So he's just
dangling with his feet hanging right there.
He's got the front legs hanging over the cabinet.
God. I actually turned around. I was doing the inspection. I turned around and there's the oven, and I couldn't figure it out. It was raised like a couple of inches from the countertop. The stove was, and I was like, this is weird. And then I looked down and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing the built-in quit working and they did that. I hope they didn't do this from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's go get us a replacement.
I hope maybe that was a deal that they had found. Hey, I got an oven. Just take this one.
This will hold you over.
And then there's the leak that obviously occurred in the roof where the plumbing vent is.
Oh, yeah.
And that was their way of stopping it, maybe until the roofer got there. But that's a lot of towels.
Yeah. Just wrap it up real good. Electrical tape around it.
Yeah, that'll stop the leak. That'll at least dry it off before it hits the drywall, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I've talked about this before, the inevitable box fan inside your crawl space providing ventilation. Very nice. And the interesting ways that we can use the box fan. The one thing about that too is that's obviously, and just by the look of it, you can tell it's not one of those that is designed for crawl space use. So, sometimes you just got to look at the obvious and realize that's not the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, that's the one that just makes noise at night so you can sleep better.
Yeah, exactly. It puts you to night.
I have a couple different friends that have to have box fans to sleep.
Do they?
I mean, we'll be on trips and they'll run to Walmart to get a fan because they don't have a fan.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not. When I go on trips, I'm that way with pillows. I don't know what it is. I have to have my own pillow. Otherwise, I can't sleep. Like you go to the hotel and you get the really squishy ones. Mm-hmm. Most people are either a squishy pillow person or a solid pillow person. I can't do the squishy ones.
Right.
I sink in them and I feel like I can't breathe. So it's rough. Wow. So anyway, well, moving forward, those are your photos from the RIC home inspections, photos from the field. Y'all take a look at those.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Did you see that? Yeah, that's right. You got to see these things if you haven't already. Pull up the Facebook page and take a glance at that bigger picture where the bottle jack is. What are those supposed to be used for? Bottle jacks.
Typically for temporary use or like jacking a car up or, I mean, not for
like permanent support of your living room floor. Mm-hmm. So either that or they jacked it up just to get the brick under there and then they just forgot to pull the jack out. But either way. Yeah, that's not the way you want to see it done.
Yeah, but it'd be good to get some feedback on that bottom cinder block because that is something I see all the time and
And I don't think a lot of folks realize what's going on with it and why that is so alarming to you and I.
Right.
Oh, you know what else I heard this week? This is interesting. I get an email. All right, here's how the seller's agent has responded to our repair requests. What do you think of this? So this question I got is, well, I was in an attic and there are electrical boxes that are just... We got splices, we got the box, got the cover, all that's great. But then they're just kind of not
attached to anything,
secured to the ceiling joist or the joist in the attic or anything. And so the response from the seller was, well, I got a letter from my electrician who says that these electrical boxes, they're the proper boxes and the proper covers, and they're okay because they don't present a harm. And then he said there isn't enough wire there to secure the boxes to the framing, so it's okay. Do you know of any exception to the code that says that that's okay?
The boxes are supposed to be secured to something. And if there's not enough wire, what you have to do is make two splices, put a longer piece in,
and get more wire.
So you attach it to something.
Okay.
That's not an exception to free to float a junction box because the wire's not long enough. Mm-hmm. It just means you have to make two junction boxes and put another piece between them.
Extend that wiring. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, well, the faucet, the supply line didn't quite reach the bathtub, so we're just going to use a hose. No, you've got to actually have a plumber extend that line to do it the way it really should be done. You don't write the codes. The codes are there for a reason. And I've seen this a number of times where contractors will either they don't want to do the work or they want to be done. So they'll tell the homeowner, well, it's too difficult to do it the other way, so this is the way it's got to be done. You are the one who's usually going in there and doing these repairs as closing contractor. Is there any advice you can give to some of these folks that are out there listening when it comes time to get repairs done like that? How do you avoid that?
The first thing is to have licensed people do the work because all too many times there's someone that is willing to do it or someone from church or someone that you know, a friend's friend or something that, they work it somewhere during the day, but they do side work. Yeah. It's like, okay, that the best way to protect yourself on that is have licensed people do it. and still, that's still no guarantee. You know, you need, at least talk to the people first. You can usually get a feel for what people know and what they really understand by asking a couple of questions. I mean, just basic ones, just be basic questions. And if they can't answer the questions, or they, have to get back to you or whatnot. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's certain things I have to get people back on. If it's something, say, structural, or, walls about to, like a cinder block wall's about to fall over, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. I mean, it happens with everyone. Sometimes there's things you got to get back to, but if you ask basic questions and they can't answer them, or you ask them how they're going to fix it. Yeah. Because like the one you're talking about, like the junction box, it's a really easy fix. It's just people don't want to take the time to do it right. They say, well, I can just float this box right here and it's now in a junction box, but the junction box is supposed to be attached to something. So, and it's a very simple fix. You take one end of it and where you can attach it to a board, you take the other end of it where you can attach it to a board, then you run another piece of wire between the two, and you make two junction boxes instead of one. And I mean, honestly, that's a really basic answer as to how you would repair that.
It's an elementary type of concept when it comes to electrical. So it surprised me when this agent and buyer got a response back from the seller's agent saying, well, the electrician says that this is the way it is and this is acceptable. You would even think the agent would go, are you kidding me? Turn around to the electrician going, no. How are we going to okay that?
Yeah. And my next question is, was that an electrician? Yeah. Or was it
that's probably
someone I mean, I see some people work for big companies or whatever as electricians, or as people who do electrical work who aren't really electricians. They know their job of what they do, but they're not actually licensed in as an electrician. That would have been a good
question, is to say, well, okay, to tell that buyer and agent, ask that seller and their agent, was that a licensed electrician?
Correct.
Because they did say the guy's electrician said this.
Right, right.
And that's important too. Keyword, licensed, because here's what happens. There's data that is kept on us at the LLR, South Carolina Labor Licensing and Regulations Board, where, if there is a conflict, you can go to the Attorney General, or you can go to the board there and say, hey, I need to report Shane or Tommy because they're not meeting expectations. At least you have that. If nothing else, you go under your house and you find that box fan that you paid $1,000 to ventilate your crawl space, you have someone to go to. Yeah. As long as you're hiring somebody who's licensed, right? Yeah.
I bet that job, like box fan, I bet that was a lot less expensive than putting in a, like a exhaust, fan with a humidistat and a thermostat, Yeah. It's like they were probably comparing two prices. If it was in fact a contractor that put that in there, they're looking at this price and this. Well, this is about half the price.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly
because of the way it's done.
And don't think that cheaper is always better. I mean, you get what you pay for. I mean, you can pay a whole lot more. There are folks that, there's the other end of the spectrum too. You could pay more than you should, but when it comes to stuff like this, especially if you're looking to get something done under the house or in the attic somewhere you're not going to be, it's a good idea to maybe go with that. I always tell folks, get at least 3 estimates, and you're probably doing well if you go with the middle one. But also check references, make sure they're licensed, and get multiple opinions.
Right. And ask for pictures. That's another big thing. Ask for pictures. If somebody goes under your house.
Oh, yeah.
And says you have this, this, and this. Or tell them before they go under. Say, yeah, I am going to want pictures. Because in a crawl space, it's not the easiest place. Well, it's not the easiest place to start taking cameras out, especially if you have crawl suits and then everything's in. But let them know ahead of time that you're wanting some pictures of whatever they do find. And then that way, when they come out, they can show you what they're talking about. Because, honestly, people can go under a house and say you've got all kind of problems, and most people aren't going to go under there to look to see the problems themselves.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying everyone out there is out to get you or anything like that, but it's never a bad idea to see the pictures.
I know that's something that pest control companies do a lot. I know I do a lot. I put the photos in the report. So if there's ever a conflict, I can go, look, do you see the towel? Do you see the electrical tape wrapped around the plumbing vent? I mean, it's there. I'm not making it up. Is that something you guys do pretty often as well?
What's that? The pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally try to. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do get lazy because if I have my crossuit on, my phone's underneath, I don't take a camera, and you get in some of these tighter places. I mean, if it's wide open, yeah, grab it. But you get up in a 1 foot to 2 foot crawl, and there's not a lot of maneuvering room. It gets sort of tricky to get the picture. Sometimes you can't get in there completely to get a good shot of it, but yeah, I generally try to get some pictures, and so that way, at least if the homeowner has a question, I can at least show it to them and say, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Following these simple suggestions can help you find the right contractor for the job and will also help you keep tabs on their progress throughout the project. In review, we want to be sure that we're hiring professionals that are specifically licensed for the job. This will help verify their qualifications, and their status with the State Labor and Licensing Board will also offer a means of holding them accountable. Next, during the interview process, ask the contractor some simple questions about the job and how it's to be completed. Oftentimes, you can gain a clear perspective of the contractor's understanding of the project just through simple conversation. Also, don't be cheap. Skilled and confident licensed contractors know the value of their work. They also appreciate the value of their time, so hiring the cheapest is likely going to land you someone who's not qualified. At the same time, no one wants to be ripped off, so as the saying goes, interview at least 3 potential candidates at bare minimum. You'll find the right one somewhere in the middle. Ask for references. A qualified licensed contractor will be proud of their work and should love the opportunity to share the fruits of their labor with others. And finally, during the project, don't be afraid to ask more questions about what's going on, and if needed, ask for pictures or other visuals that will help you understand the repair or renovation process. Of course, no one wants someone looking over their shoulder constantly while on the job, but a good contractor will appreciate your interest in their trade. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. Please feel free to share with those who will enjoy our program. Also, a quick reminder to subscribe so you can keep up with every new episode as it's released. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections. We'll look forward to being with you again next time.
Thanks for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. Meet more Home Pros at homeprosradio.com. There, you can also catch full episodes of our show, along with additional information to ensure that your home is in perfect shape. It's the Home Pros Radio Show, brought to you by Prime Lending, home loans made simple. The Home Pros Radio Show, online at homeprosradio.com or on the radio at 94.5 WGTK, The Answer.